Welcome to the Rest of Us podcast. I have my friend Tiana Hanna here. I know her from my jiu-jitsu gym. She has been training for
a year and some change now.
A year and some change. So she's still a white belt. She got into jiu-jitsu because, to my understanding, you've told me that you are a nurse in a pediatric unit, and some of the 17-year-old male children can be aggressive depending on what they're in there for, and you decided you needed some kind of self-defense in your life?
Yes, yeah. So we work with all sorts of kids, and a lot of them get admitted for increased aggression. And those are really large children that do all sorts of strange things to their nurses. So it became really obvious right away that I needed to do something other than just take the punch to the face.
What is, so if it's increased aggression, is this like the teacher reporting it or a parent reporting it, or like how does that work? I'm just curious. I've never asked you, so I feel like this is a good time to ask.
Most of the time it is like the parent reporting it. So they'll come in, like we had one patient come in because they hit their aide with a bottle. And that child was nonverbal. So they admitted them just to see. There's a whole bunch of reasons why you could end up with an increased aggression kid if they don't talk. Usually it's actually like a urinary tract infection. Because I mean,
that's so sad. Yeah, you
right.
would rather die.
Right. And they can't say anything. So what do? They just hit people with bottles. They punch people. They do all sorts of stuff.
That actually makes a lot of sense that they're nonverbal now. Because I was going to say, if I had like a child with increased aggression, contacting the doctor is not the first thing that would come to my mind.
No, you would think to contact somebody else.
Yeah, but in this situation, this kind of makes sense because it feels maybe, I don't know, like medication related or just therapy or some kind
neurologically. Sometimes these kids are additionally aggressive because they have brain tumors and things like that, like covering the parts of their brain that tell them not to hit people. Like
impulse control. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're there to help them out while we figure out what's going on with them. Best case scenario, it's something that we can immediately address. A lot of times it's not. And then it's more behavioral, and the challenge is like hooking them up with the right resources to work on like behavior modification and helping them address those emotions in a way that's not threatening to other people. But that meanwhile is like a 3-month period usually that there's a nurse that has to go in and take care of these kids. And a lot of these kids also aren't like potty trained because there's all sorts of like neurological disorders going on in addition to their increased aggression. So it can be kind of a scary time.
Do you still do that? Or because I know you're working with
dialysis patients
patients and newborns, or not anymore?
No. So I have 2 jobs. So dialysis nurse is my full-time gig now. But as a pediatric nurse at this hospital, you do all of it. So some days you get the newborns, other days you get the big kids. Other days you get a mix.
Or like cancer and stuff too, because I remember you were telling me about the cancer ward, or is that different?
I don't do cancer.
Oh.
You will not get me to touch cancer with a 10-foot pole.
Oh, but there's you're in like a newer hospital too, right? Or
no, the new hospital is opening soon.
Okay.
So, yeah.
See, this is how much I don't listen in conversations with my friends. I have kernels of information, but apparently I don't have all of the information.
I don't expect anybody to understand what is going on with my life ever because my schedule is so strange.
Yeah, she'll send us like for days that we can get together, or like we'll try to figure out so we can train at the same time. And then she'll send it to me and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. And she, I don't think, does either.
The moons mean that I'm working nights. The days mean I'm working days. And then
don't you have it color coded though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Blue is night. Moon.
Okay.
Yep. Red is day.
See?
And then the white, that's empty space. That's days off.
And this is like, you're training in the mornings now, I guess, or when do you find that you're training? At the end of your shift, though, in the morning. Like if you come into a morning shift, it's because you actually finished working.
Yes.
So it's like a night class, but in the morning.
Right. It'll feel like a late night class to me. And then other times I'll do evening classes. My schedule now is just so hit or miss that there is no rhythm, rhyme, or reason to what I can do.
How often would you say that you train?
I try to get in at least 3 to 4 times a week.
That's good. For like a white belt, for anyone who's training, I feel like, and then you've done 2 competitions.
Yes.
At least 2.
Yeah, just 2.
Just 2. Okay. I think I was at both of them.
Yeah, you were there for both.
I was there for both. She did.
I got
As
sat
to be,
on.
yeah, she
It was fun.
Has to be expected. But she came out with a smile, so I've never seen anyone look so cute after losing. Like, so we were just like, we're like, she's really hanging in there when you're on the side watching your teammate, and then you're like, we also will try to do as much comp prep as we can before that. Together, we do like extra time on the side, and then when you watch your your favorite white belt go out there and do none of what you've talked about.
I mean, no.
That's because you didn't get into those positions. Like,
It's true.
Yeah.
I didn't plan on pulling myself into mount basically for 4 minutes.
Happens to the best of us.
She didn't tap me.
Yep. And that's all that matters if you're already losing.
Yeah.
What inspired you to sign up for a competition class?
I like our competition class a lot. I really enjoy the format. I like, one, there's a lot less people that show up at 7 a.m.
You took the class before you competed, though, right?
Yes, I did.
Is that what made you want to compete?
Yes, because the form said invite only, and I was not invited, so I invited myself.
Yeah, well, there's like only, sometimes, this is like the thing too, when you like go to like different places, it'll be like blue belt only. Sometimes you can ask, like I've gone to like pretty big schools where there's definitely enough people for the class and it'll say blue belt only. And when I was like a white belt and like, you know, wanting to drop in for the first time and train somewhere, they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, that's good to know. So then you did that because at the time made sense with your schedule. And then after that, you're like, I think I'm going to register for a competition and do it for the heck of it.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. You know, I went to, I think the August New Breed and I saw everybody compete again. And I was like, no, I need to do this. Like, I need to at least try it at least once or twice. And when I was talking to Greg about like my concerns with these kids, he was like, you know, the best way to simulate it outside of it actually happening to you, which hopefully it never does, is you need to go to a competition and have somebody go against you with all that they've got. Just do it 100% completely.
That's how I feel too, because people who have not trained at all, like they haven't even stepped in and done like a forward roll, right? I'm saying this as someone who used to answer phones at the gym where people would call in and like, I feel like if I had to describe what working at a gym and answering the phones is like, 70 to 80% of your questions are going to be about Muay Thai, which our gym doesn't even have. Some jiu-jitsu gyms do have Muay Thai at it, but ours doesn't at all. And it'll be like a whole striking versus jiu-jitsu conversation. It'll be another like 10, 15% about like knives and guns, and then maybe 5% jiu-jitsu, like if that. And so most of the questions I would field is about like self-defense or like what you would use in real life, etc. And I would always tell people, I was like, yeah, well, I mean, like you could compete and be like, oh, well, like a sport is not like the real world where someone could like punch, shoot, etc. And I'm like, sure, but I'm like, you walk on a mat in a technically fair situation with someone completely okay with breaking your arm until you say tap. And I'm like, that's probably more confrontation than you've ever had in your life, like, or any kind of opponent. And I was like, and if you want to go even more advanced, go do a rule set that allows scissor takedowns and some of these other things that you're not doing a white belt. Let somebody heel hook you. Let somebody do all of these different things with your 2 months in. And then I'm like, and then we can talk about how like the real world, because there's only so much you can simulate without breaking people's fingers and gouging people's eyes out or all the different things that would happen in the real world. There's a lot that you can do in jiu-jitsu on mat time to develop skill sets. So I agree with that statement where, yes, if you do a competition and you start, it's different than doing it with a training partner who doesn't want to hurt you. That probably felt different than when you train with me or somebody, right?
Oh, totally. And like the thing about training jiu-jitsu compared to like doing some other kind of martial art to prepare for actual real world stuff, it gives you so much more confidence. Like when I was out there on that competition mat for the first time and like the ref drew his hand away and I was looking at my opponent, like
no, but it's a podcast, so only some of the people are listening. But if you could see her,
my eyes were so big. But the thing is in a hospital room, you don't have that split second moment for someone to be like, okay, something is going to happen now.
And go.
And I appreciated that like next level of preparation for having to deal with it. Hopefully I never need to use jiu-jitsu in my job. Like I don't want to ever have to do it.
Or any of our lifetimes.
Right. Like that's really not the thing. The thing is to run away. The thing is to get out of the hospital room before anything happens. But I have a lot more confidence walking in to deal with those patients than any of the other nurses that I work with. And I honestly think part of the reason why I've never had to use it at work is because I walk in confident and
That's
not
like the
scared.
other thing too is I also have noticed a confidence, and it's probably like a realistic confidence because I also worked in a doctor's office that had irate patients sometimes. And like I would look at a woman who's like my size or smaller and I'm like, okay, you can scream, lady. I mean, if she doesn't have her purse on her and she's, you know, packing, like, I think we're going to be okay. Or like any clothing that looks like it would be baggy enough to hide a weapon or something. But I think like sometimes you also get a better idea for like body sizes where I know that a man who's actually not that much heavier than me can probably hurt me pretty bad if they wanted to. And you know this from spending tons and tons of time on the mat with people who train really gently with you. And you're like, oh man, this is like actually like what weight feels like.
Right.
And you kind of have a better understanding of like distance where you're like, oh, this is starting to go. Like when someone starts like kind of getting an angle on you, you're like, okay, this is like, I don't want to be, you know, you could take a step back and you have more of an understanding like that. But like conversely, I think that's the right word. If someone walks in like an area, like I had like a couple, I would call them like creepy old men, like walk towards me. And then like I find out that like one of them's like actually not creepy. He's like probably special needs. And like I can have a conversation with them. Or another guy is just like an old dude who like legitimately wants to talk about my friend's dog, but he's kind of like a frail old man. And I'm like, there's like a time where I probably wouldn't have offered those people kindness out of fear. And then now I'm like, I think I'd be fine in this situation. And I get to be a better version of myself that I would rather be.
Yeah. Or even like, so a lot of our patients, they're very tactile oriented. So what they want to do is they want to hold on to your wrist. They just want to hold it. They just want to hold on to it. They just want to touch you. Which, if you don't know how to break a grip, is really scary.
Yeah, because that's one point of contact.
Right. You're like,
we always talk about 4 points of contact in jiu-jitsu. So 1 point is already you're working from behind.
Right. But if you feel confident breaking that grip very easily, then it's not a problem if they just
and then it just turns out they just wanted to hold on.
Right. It just makes them feel more secure. They feel more comfortable while you are taking their vital signs or doing your exam or whatever for them to just grab onto your wrist.
And you did I guess it's over now, but you did like a self-defense for women program that we have a gentleman at our gym who has a Muay Thai background actually that was teaching for a while. And he did a lot of like grip breaks, and I'm trying to think of like other stuff too.
He still offers it. Unfortunately, now it's at the same time as the women's only gi class that we offer on Saturdays at 10. But yeah, all of his class was focused on grip breaks, on what to do if you're trapped in like a public restroom stall and somebody's trying to jump you while you're in there. What to do if some guy grabs you the wrong way, what to do if somebody's followed you to your car. I think one of my favorite things that he did for us was he set up like a simulation hospital room for me.
Oh.
Like with like a bed, and like we use traffic cones to like simulate the room and like all the things that I would encounter. And then I had to practice getting out of the room.
That's the weird thing about, like they say this with a cage, not that I'm super experienced with a cage, but the cage walls are almost like its own floor.
Yes.
So you have to like not keep your back to the floor and in a room situation, that's also different than having just open mats that go open into anywhere.
Right. Yeah. Cause like the hospital rooms and like even like a public restroom stall or like these places where you could end up just in your daily life where somebody could possibly do something to you, there's only like one point of entry and exit. So if you position your body away from that point, then you've effectively trapped yourself and there's nowhere that you can go but like in the case of a bathroom stall up or something like that. And
it's like mopping to the middle.
Yeah.
There's like a kind of, what do you call it, terminology from the millennials.
Oh man.
That. Do you feel like doing that combined with regular jiu-jitsu is beneficial? Then if you just like, let's just say you only had like that self-defense training, you didn't have normal jiu-jitsu, how would you feel? I don't know. Just curious.
I think it's beneficial to have on top of regular jiu-jitsu, but ultimately what makes you comfortable is mat time. Mm-hmm. And like I think about what I was like my first couple of weeks in jiu-jitsu and like my first couple of weeks with the self-defense stuff. And what makes you better at everything is just generally practicing. So if I was to only have done that, then I would have a lot less mat time because it's only like once a week compared to my 3 to 4 weekly training sessions that I try to make it to.
Do you do any strength and conditioning, Pilates, hot yoga on top?
I'm really into bouldering, so that's typically.
That's right.
Yeah,
Crime.
I'm a bouldering
Do you have a
girl.
membership? I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a membership. I don't get to go nearly as often as I want, but yeah, strength and conditioning is a really important component of everything. So those days where I am stuck working 12s and my schedule does not align with Odyssey or people who are awake, that's when I will like do leg day or arm day or Elite Edge. I love Elite Edge. Unfortunately, I work every Friday this month, but that is like hands down my favorite.
That's where I do strength and conditioning.
Yeah, you got me onto that.
I got her onto it. They do normally before the opens and stuff, they'll do like free jiu-jitsu Fridays.
Yeah.
And stuff, and she'll go to that, and it's it's that like five matches to gold right in a row at New Breed, 6 matches. I don't know, some of the guys have 8 matches. It's just a lot of conditioning. That's what was crazy about watching CJI and like some of this stuff too, where you're like watching, you're like, that's 30 minutes of jujitsu, or ADCC. You're like, that is just so much jujitsu all in a row. That looks exhausting. Because we've had 5-minute matches, and 5 minutes is a really long time when you're wrestling another human being.
Yeah, no, 5 minutes feels like forever. When Brandon does like the 8 minutes, that's a lot.
Yeah, I think that's like brown belt time technically, because you're also master's division. I think we stick to 5 minutes. Like I think even I want to say like my blue belt matches and stuff are 5 minutes. I think they'd be 6, but when I do new breeds and stuff, they're like 6 minutes, and then you could have overtime. But once they let us old people like do only 5 minutes instead of having to do like 8 minutes of brown belt something.
Yeah. No, I try really hard to focus on what you mentioned, like when you're getting to the end of your interval, like going just as hard to the end instead of pulling up. Just like Brandon said last night in training, actually, he was talking about CJI and like expecting to be out of bounds, and so people start to like let up a little bit, and then they end up they get out of bounds, but they end up losing a good position because they started to let up because they thought the clock was going to run out.
It's a weird parameter of the sport that I feel like a lot of people don't take into consideration, is like the way that you behave when you know this or that is happening or whatever. Yeah. Like if you ever get paused to move back to the middle and you just take the time to tie your whole belt when you're tired. I watch people do it. I'm like, they're shot is what they are. They are buying themselves through. Oh, they're doing the super knot. Okay. Like they are really putting their belt back on.
You gotta take it where you can get it, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. I am not above that to win. But I think now my cardio is pretty good. I do like that. One of the things that I think is the most exhausting that Brandon has us do is when he has us do those, like, I want to say they're 3 minute passing rounds where he has like, he'll play a song.
Exactly what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we'll be like having to pass someone's guard, and they can't like get a real guard. They can only like pummel and square up and like all that kind of stuff to you. And you have to like go through someone's guard and do it as many times as you can in like 3 minutes. That's exhausting.
Right.
I don't think any match is going to be as exhausting as that, except maybe like one that you're doing completely standing with real wrestling.
Right.
Like not just like a collar tie battle, but like actual, like you're trying to shoot and all that kind of stuff is also pretty exhausting. What is like a bouldering session like for all of us who have never done one?
I mean, it really
Do you
depends.
just go by yourself? Do you need like someone to like hold the rope, or is that's different?
No. So that is top rope climbing. Bouldering, you can go just by yourself. And I tend to go just by myself because my schedule is really strange. And finding people who are able to go with me is really tough.
Really? But I thought it was like I feel like a lot of people do rock climbing now.
Yeah, a lot of people do. It's just that
or
a lot of people...
they only call it bouldering now? Is that the real lingo?
No. So rock climbing tends to refer to top rope climbing.
Okay.
But really, if you call bouldering rock climbing, like that's not wrong. You are technically still climbing rocks.
But everyone knows you're a noob and you don't actually do it.
No.
Okay.
I'm not really into the bouldering culture as much. Okay. So I really got... When I first moved here, also the reason why I took to jiu-jitsu so much is because of the social component of it. Whereas I've been going to this Central Rock gym, it used to be called Stone Summit, for 2 years. I still cannot tell you the name of anybody there.
Okay.
No one knows me. I do not know anybody. I do not talk to anybody. I do not speak to anybody. Nobody looks at me.
Not even 2 people that you may or may not have gone on a date with.
We definitely don't speak. No.
And she's like, and I also don't know their names.
No. I think one was named Liam.
This is also a PSA that like don't take people on a date to your favorite place.
Well,
they might show up again.
The hard part is like bouldering is a fantastic first date because you can learn so much about somebody when you take them there. Like, you can see if they're really encouraging or if they're like really pessimistic
or competitive, I'd imagine,
or like super competitive. Or just like really for me, the tell is like, are you a really negative person? So if somebody tries to do a route on the wall and they fall off, which is totally a normal part of bouldering. If you don't fall off the wall, you are not trying hard enough. And they get like super discouraged and kind of like about it. Like that tells you a lot about who they are as a person. Whereas like if they fall off and they just try again, or they look at the wall and think about it as a puzzle and try to figure out what piece they're missing, I think that's a really interesting piece of information to gather. And also you can see what kind of guy will like support you through figuring out a problem compared to like, you know, one of these guys I went on a date with, he was awesome. He was like, you've totally got this. You can totally do it. You just need to put weight in your left hip a little bit more.
Did he have a background doing it or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So for whatever reason,
I was like, this sounds like more than Joe Schmo off a hinge.
I never managed to go with, well, people who are inexperienced at bouldering generally don't accept dates to go bouldering. It's usually it's usually like the purple belt equivalent guys and above that will like take a girl bouldering.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So like the guys who can do like V8s. So like there's VB to like V0 to like V10. And like the guys that I kept going with were like V8s. So me, still like the white belt boulder rower. I'm like, oh, best I can do is a V2.
So even people who have like V8 experience would get frustrated when they fall?
Yeah. Oh, all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, they get, because
it wasn't just like, oh, I'm embarrassed, I'm doing a new thing. It's like they have experience and they're still
then they get mad at it.
Gross attitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. But like that guy talked me through it and I solved that problem and I made it because he was so encouraging. Whereas another guy's he was like, oh, I don't know, that hold is like really small and it's really difficult to get and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to do it.
Oh.
Yeah. Ew. So like you can kind of see the difference.
And then you had to like be on this date for 35 more minutes.
Yeah. And then we continued to be there for another hour. Because bouldering dudes are never happy with 1 hour. It's always got to be 2 or more.
And you can't just be like, okay, well, this was great. I'll see you later if you stay. Do you like
I was
leave
into
together?
The wall.
Do you go get like a drink? Like, how does this date go?
Well, with negative guy, it was like, okay, I got to go. Like, I'm done. Peace out.
Good choice.
With positive guy, he had to go, but I wanted to go get like a beer down the street. So you can
legitimately had to go, or do you think that he was just like, I gotta go?
I'm pretty sure he had to go. I'm pretty sure he was like, oh, she can only do a V2. Like, this is kind of lame. But you could have. It had the potential to go for something else. Like, it's generally only 2 hours. You can do it for longer, but I'm done after 2 hours. After 2 hours, also
that feels like more than enough for a date. I feel like 2 hours a date and even 2 hours of like jujitsu is like a lot of jujitsu for the average person. Yeah, I mean, not us because we're crazy, but I also feel like normal people would be like, okay, this is enough quality time with the person.
I feel like I've gotten to know them very well for a first date.
It's been 16 years since I've been on a first date with Lucas. But I had a horrible first date when I was in college where I think I've told you this, but the guy had planned 3 full activities and he was very competitive. Like he was very cute, like president of the intramural, tall, all the things that you want when you're like 19 years old before you know what is actually worth something in a partner. Okay. Yeah. Lucas, I always feel like I have to apologize for saying someone's tall, but this guy was really tall. And
6'5", blue eyes,
finance,
trust fund.
And he was such a lovely guy. But then, and also like I liked sports, he liked sports. I went on the date and then found out that this guy really liked sports. It was like he knew the statistics of every college team. Every time, I'm talking like women's tennis minor league, North Dakota, he would know like something about it. And he was like following all of it through our date. And then he had planned 3 activities because I'm pretty sure he thought I was going to be his wife. And like we had gone to the batting cages because I have a baseball background, as I said in one of the other podcasts. And he was very competitive at that, even for me. I'm like, I was only a couple years out of it. And I was like, he's really like celebrating every time he hits a ball himself. And I was like, okay. I was like, he just has a lot of like gusto. So then like, I don't remember what the second part of our date was, but I just remember the third part. I was like 5 minutes into this exactly what you said. You learn a lot about a person. And I was 5 minutes in and I was like, pass. But then I knew he had told me like all week, like I had planned the perfect date for us, the perfect first date. And I was like, okay. And I was like all the attention, I was so I didn't even know how to handle it. I was like, oh, how sweet and wonderful.
Sounds like a loser.
Yes. Thank you, sweetheart. My husband had to step in and say what a loser. Everyone I ever dated before Lucas was, in fact, a loser. Lucas tells me I don't have good taste in men. But I married you, babe. He just thumbs down with his tongue out like a 5-year-old. Anyway, so the last part of this date was we had gone bowling, and it was cosmic bowling, which is an activity I said that I was like, I really like going with my friends, cosmic bowling. And so when we got to the cosmic bowling and, everyone's on like a cute date and they're doing whatever, he shows up with like his own bowling shoes and his own bowling bag. And in this bowling bag was a ball with a cloth that you clean your own bowling ball off with. And I was like, oh man, he's gonna smoke me, because he also did intramural bowling. And he just smoked me and he celebrated it. I was like, this is the like every time he did it, every time I did bad, it was like full-blown teammate status. Like, I actually feel like most of my experience with like men in general have been like this, but never somebody who said they were romantically interested in me. Like, it's just like, when one of your jiu-jitsu friends smokes you in a triangle and you're both like...
I'm just imagining like DK or something celebrating after triangling me.
Yeah. And this person's like
Campbell just going ham.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like to an extent, like if you get something good, you laugh. Like I feel like we've been there, but like this was the weirdest like 7-hour date and now this is like why I tell friends like Tiana, I'm like, you should go to coffee with people, because if you want to do something else, you can, but if you want to bail, it's just, oh, I got somewhere to be and you got to know them for 40 minutes. Yeah. Or an hour bouldering.
Yeah, coffee, bouldering, happy hour.
Low
commitment.
I don't know why,
short.
like, I mean, I guess cocktails is romantic and it's like supposed to be, but I don't know why that feels like a bigger commitment than like a coffee.
Well, because one is $7 and one is $20. That's why.
I mean, happy hour, it could also be $7. We could be looking at $3 green tea shots.
Lord.
We did some of those a couple weeks ago. And then Lucas, we went to another bar and also did green tea shots. And Lucas was like, those were expensive. I was like, Lucas, I haven't seen $3 green tea shots since like, I think it was after the submission series, actually.
Maybe this is what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I need to go find me a date and get some $3 green tea shots.
I can't guarantee that you will have romantic success.
That doesn't matter. $3 green tea shots.
I mean, Lucas has like his whole husband hunting method. Would you say that $3 green tea shot is the place that you would find a husband? He's saying yes.
Okay.
I'm wondering if the men listening are like, yeah, I hang out at the
$3 green tea
Lucas
place.
has things to add.
Like, do you think that these guys are just out hanging out with their friends, being wholesome on a $15 shot, or do you think they're going to go out and have a $6 beer and a couple of $3 shots, and then be like, all right, guys, I'll see y'all tomorrow morning for work? Like, what do you think? What's their plan for the evening in your mind when they're going somewhere?
I don't think they have a plan.
Yeah, we don't think that much.
The plan is they have no plan.
That's what we think. I mean,
the plan is of a good man to hang out with his friends for a couple hours and then go home and be ready for work the next day. That's the plan. Was it in detail? No. But that's a solid plan.
Yeah, Lucas's theory, because I was Lucas's waitress at a sports bar when we met, And he was like, yeah, and I met you because you were there, because I was the waitress. So that's his method. So in his mind, he's like, so women need to go where like that waitress would normally be the only woman, but then there would be a woman there that they could actually talk to. He also has a whole body language thing at like the bar. Like if you're at a bar and you could have like closed off body language, or if you just are like off your phone.
Oh, Lucas's method works. Remember, I picked up MAGA hat guy at Johnny's. And
You had a conversation. You did not pick him up.
Fine, you're right. I didn't go home with him or anything, but like he did buy
have
me a
an
drink.
in-depth conversation.
He bought me a drink, and we talked, and I found out that, I
It
found out
wasn't-
stuff about him, and
She found it wasn't in jest. It wasn't in irony. It was like legitimate.
He meant it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I do lean to the left, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna head out now.
Exactly.
He knows what he wants.
He knows what he wants.
Right,
You both did.
We both knew what we wanted, and I appreciated the cocktail and the experience.
That was nice. Lucas has friends that even when he was in the military, they're like, I don't buy women drinks. Ever.
Okay, that's fine.
They're all married now, actually. Fascinatingly enough.
Yeah. No.
But at least you gave him conversation. I would have friends who would like let a man buy a drink for him and they would just leave. That's what I said. I was like, I feel like they're like, I'm worth more than the drink for conversation. I was like, okay, well, I can't help you. I feel like there's an unspoken, is there an unspoken contract that like, if someone's going to spend $7 to $14, that maybe you're like,
I feel like it depends on the context. So like, if I'm actively making eye contact and smiling and showing interest, and then all of a sudden I stop once I get the drink, I think that is a foul. However, if you're just out at the drink, like if you and I were at Johnny's doing whatever, and some dude who I haven't looked twice at buys us drinks,
that has happened.
and I haven't, shown any signs of being interested, I've given no flags, and he just buys us drinks, then no, I don't owe him a conversation.
Yeah, Lucas and I were actually at a table, and like some guy bought the whole table when my cousin was in town with her like 5 girlfriends. He got the table shots. He was like, yeah, let's just get some shots. He's like, says this to the waitress. We all legitimately thought he was a manager there. Like,
Oh no.
yeah, that's what we said. Because then he kept talking, and then God bless my friends or my cousin's like single friends or whatever who did like talk to him. And I was like, I'm so sorry, guys. I like legitimately thought he was manager, because he had like a black ball cap that had like a bar name on it. It wasn't the bar we were at, but you would never know. It was like one of the Battery bars, like that had like the 3 or 4 bar names at. And then he also had a black polo shirt. So the guy looked like a bar
looked
GM.
Like he worked at the
Yeah,
restaurant.
and the way he talked to even the way he interacted with the waitress, I'm not going to say demanding, but it felt managerial more than customer. And then like he came over with all the shots. We took them, and then when he kept hanging around, I was like, wait, is this guy like, did he just like buy his shots? And he sure did.
He sure bought your company for the evening. He
Yeah,
thought.
we did not. And yeah, and then I actually pointed out, I was like, wait, you don't work here.
Oh,
I wasn't trying to be cruel.
his heart shrunk 2 sizes.
But
in
he was
that
the one who
moment.
went out in a black ball cap with a bar name on it. Come on, guy. Like, help us all out with the interaction.
It's like going to Target in a red shirt and then being annoyed when somebody asks you for help.
Exactly. I've actually person in a Target red shirt and then like khaki pants. I know it goes together, but I think about this when I almost wear my Hawaiian shirt to Trader Joe's. I'm like, Rachel, you can't wear your favorite khaki shorts, like your board shorts, and then like,
Yeah. Someone's gonna ask you where the Xiaolong Bao is.
or they're gonna ask me out. I also feel like it makes me look very like non-binary. Not like on purpose, like not like
Like you and your leather jackets.
yes, me and leather jackets as well. I'm like, which is nothing wrong with that. I just am in particular I'm straight as an arrow and married, and there are 2 outfits where I'm like, there's like, those hot girls in LA that wear leather jackets, and then when I wear a leather jacket, that is not the kind of attention that I get. It's not a hot girl LA attention. So I'm learning my fashion and what I want to communicate to the world. I do want to dress for me, but apparently dressing for me doesn't always get me the interactions that I want, I think. Lucas just rolled his eyes at me.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. You're dressed really cute.
Well, thank you. I got this from Amazon.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I saw like an outfit like that on Amazon, and I was wondering if it would actually look cute or not. And this is good to hear that it does actually look cute.
Yeah, I can endorse the who do whatever
Yeah, who do tennis
strange
dress
aloe knockoff
Yeah.
tennis dress.
One
yeah.
of those like Instagram people that does all the knockoff videos, like probably endorsed.
Yeah.
And then you like click on it.
And I clicked on it and I was like, well, for $25.
That's where I got that
guess.
green dress you complimented from Amazon. It was
Very cute.
also, it was also one of those knockoff influencers outfits. You would never think that I am or try or aspire to be fashionable ever. There's the amount because I'm going through cleaning out my closet. I don't know if you are. I feel like we were at the same time. I'm trying to clean out my closet because we're about to enter another season. And you would never know with the amount of crap that I have that I've ever tried to aspire to be fashionable by the way you see me on an average every day. And then Lucas and I, we had told you before that we had the laundry mess. I don't know how we had no socks, underwear, athletic shorts, and we only had like a couple of days of laundry that was not folded. Like it was crazy that like I don't understand how we have like full cabinets. Is this like a normal person problem or just an us problem?
Oh, that's simple. Basically, once you lose sight of them, they get sucked out into the universe and they're gone forever. So you only end up with like 6 pairs of underwear and 3.5 pairs of socks to last you until you buy a new set.
I think this is gospel because I literally I don't think the word literally is correct there. I just bought another box of socks from Amazon that I like, ankle socks, because I'm a millennial. And I have no idea where any of them were. Like I had no idea. I was like, I had my existing socks, 6 more socks that I bought. And then we had only not done laundry for like 3 or 4 days, and I had no clean socks anywhere to be found.
It's because you gave them to the universe.
I did.
Yeah.
I don't think I gave them. I think it's stealing. I think it's taxation and theft or something at that point. The universe taxation on your socks.
Speaking of closets, how do you store your jiu-jitsu apparel? Because I'm starting to run out of room.
Yeah, it's a problem. This is a great question. I have from either IKEA or Target, but you can hang it in your closet and it's like those big canvas box shelves. Mm-hmm. That fits, each box fits 2 to 3 gis.
Oh, okay.
So I do that, and then I throw my belts in there. So all my gis are kind of in the same spot, and then I just like put my competition ones in the back because they never have to come out. So I'm like, I shove it in the back, and then I fit the other 2 that I actively use when I'm doing gi. And then I actually, because I use jujitsu stuff and like probably my strength and conditioning stuff more than all of the rest of my clothes, my whole top big drawer, and I have like an IKEA pack system type of drawer. Mm-hmm. That whole top one is just jiu-jitsu stuff. It's like rash guards, competition shorts, because I only mostly roll in shorts for competition because they weigh less than spats. Spats, and then like all of my I have like, I started to get so many jiu-jitsu competition t-shirts. Like I think I have like 20 or something, and I haven't even done that many competitions, but I think also like I worked for IBJJF a couple times, and then they give you a shirt. On top of competing, they give you a shirt. You do no-gi, they give you a shirt. You do knee breathe, they give you a shirt. You just like have all these jiu-jitsu shirts, and I have like 20 of them, and like I also keep that in the same drawer, so that way when I go to Elite and like do strength and conditioning, I just use my jiu-jitsu shirts. And then I bought a bunch of $8 Sophie shorts because they're cheap and they take up no room because you start running out of room. So I'm like, the cotton shorts that breathe, I feel like are a good move. It's weird. I don't like to work out in like workout sets anymore. I do, like cute ones or anything, because I feel like I got told by like a chiropractor that he like suggested that I was maybe engaging my core incorrectly, which is weird because I was doing like dance and yoga at the time, and he suggested I like engage it more like when you do lifting, where you like kind of like push your stomach out and flex it.
Yep.
But that doesn't look cute in like a 2-piece set. So ever since that, I've gotten way stronger. My range of motion and mobility is better. I think that's why I was getting caught in my splits and stuff, like because I think I was just like doing something weird with my core and it like locked on my hip flexors. I don't know. But ever since then, I'm like, I can't be thinking about the way I look as you're like pushing your stomach out. So now I just like work out in jiu-jitsu t-shirts. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm never going to like do cute sets or things like that, but I just like, I don't do that anymore.
No, I think you're right. I think I did hear a couple other like strength and conditioning coaches talk about how like Pilates is all fun and games, and I really like Pilates for like the difficult workout that it really can be with those smaller muscles, but it doesn't teach you to brace your core correctly for the majority of the things that you do. And the thing about like Pilates classes and like the bar classes is it's like one teacher to like 20 women, because there's never dudes to take the class, and their ability to form check is so limited that you end up developing really, really terrible habits for your core because nobody is ever able to catch it. Like,
yeah, because I was doing like, and again, I'm not like a doctor or like a physical therapist or any of those types of things, but I was doing a lot of like the dance yoga cues, which is like your navel to your core and like all that kind of stuff. And I never got like full range of motion in my squats comfortably, everything. And it's weird how much better I move now doing it different. And the guy also has like he does have like a yoga background. He's like, I just like don't know. He was also saying that like the yoga cues might not be correct. And I think it's weird because I also have so many dance friends that are fine with like the dance cues. But then also I'm like, your back hurts all the time. So I don't know if it is like, how many dancers do you know that their back is always hurting? And I know it's a lot of like what they're doing and all this stuff, but I'm like, I don't, knock on wood, don't have back pain. So
I mean, every body is different, and every single human body responds to strength and like shearing forces differently. So it could just be that you're a little bit more sensitive to like that particular muscular tension, especially with like how you carry your neck and your shoulders and all that sort of thing. But I think
I'm also like an overcorrector type of person. So if someone says to do something, if I'm doing it probably too much or like more than is natural, that might be what it is too.
Yeah. I'm like a super, super literal person. So like in jujitsu, when you told me like keep your knees to your elbows, like I married that. Like, yes, I will do this thing. And that is all I will do. And I don't know how to do anything else.
But it gets you far, actually. Knees to elbow.
It's very helpful.
The fundamentals are there. I try to think this too when I like give people cues. That's like also why I was always so terrified of coaching in the beginning, and why I try to do so much of it now is just get used to saying things out loud and not like being worried about, I don't know, being wrong. But it is different when you say like, hey, put your knee by their ear versus your shin. Sometimes people do both the knee and the shin is by the ear, but sometimes depending on where you source that cue from, people will respond differently to it.
Yeah, it was wild, like with animal training, how different like sea lions would respond to different like hand targets and stuff, and different communication styles that each trainer had. And like one sea lion you could get to like easily put the back of their head to their rear end or whatever it was that you were trying to get them to do, and it would go like this. And then other sea lions didn't quite. You had to explain it in multiple different ways. And I've definitely noticed trying to coach newer white belts through something like, oh yeah, just put your leg there. Oh, that wasn't precise enough. Like they did something totally different than what I thought they were going to do. Okay, let me think about.
I feel like most of mine too is I just copy what DK or Manav said or Brandon, because I'm like, okay, let's not reinvent their wheel. Like if I want to tell someone to do something, I'm going to tell them the exact same phrase that made me figure it out. But then you do that and it fails and you're like, okay, now we got to be a little creative.
Right. Yeah. Now I need to take this apart and think about what this means.
Me trying to help you go to shallow ashi from a shin on shin. Girl, I was like, your knee is on the wrong side of my knee. And then I was like, what is this? And I was like, you're doing too much.
You're doing too much.
You're doing too much.
Fair. Yeah.
And no. I take it back. I don't do too much. You do too much.
No. That's what's been wild, like with jujitsu, is like I'm not what I would consider an athletic person.
Which is funny because you look athletic as fuck right now.
Well, I think that's just luck. Like
I'm looking at you and I'm like, girl, your arms are just as toned as mine.
Yeah. Well,
but she's like here looking all like a snack in a tennis dress, saying she ain't athletic.
No,
and it's the rock climbing.
I remember
a girl
my dad
who goes bouldering for dates is telling me that she's
my dad. I guess I'm just traumatized by like when I played soccer as a kid. I just remember hearing my dad scream from the sidelines, I don't know what's wrong with her. Why can't she run? And like, I don't get what's wrong with her. Why can't she do this? And I was so good at art and I'm so good at cooking that to me, like that's in my head. Like I'm an artist and I cook. And for fun.
How old were you when this soccer incident happened?
Like 5 or 6.
Were you really that bad at running?
Oh, I'm terrible. Like I run now for fun. And like I have a really decent mile time, like 7:30 for like 6 miles.
That's
like it's pretty
good
decent.
At our age.
But like Ian was doing a workup on me the other day and he's like, your feet are flat. Your feet are flat. I'm like, yes, I know. The doctor told me. Cause like I grew up with like recurrent knee pain, like ever since I was 5 or 6. And the doctors used to be like, it's growing pains, it's growing pains, it's growing pains. And then finally they did a bunch of detailed images on my knee at like 12. And they're like, oh no, you're actually extremely flat-footed. It's caused you to internally rotate your knees. So this isn't lining up, and you're in a ton of pain because your hips aren't aligned correctly. But also it's too late to fix it. So just wear insoles.
Like, I don't know what's wrong with her. And the doctor's like, we do.
Well, we do. And it's that she's so flat-footed that her legs don't rotate in correctly.
I also think I have very similar problems. But I think I know we're not symmetrical, but I definitely have one side that's like off from the other side because I always had one knee that was like more irritated running than the other knee.
Yeah, my right side is definitely a lot less aligned with the way the body should be than my left side.
Do you drill both sides or do you just do one side?
So it depends on what we're doing. So like with skiing, my strongest leg is my right leg. So actually, like if I'm going downhill and I feel like I'm losing control, I would brake on my right leg and I'd be able to reliably stop. In jiu-jitsu, I do whatever side we are learning for the day.
That's
because
fair.
I don't whatever happens in my brain, like if Coach Amon is teaching us to do it from the left leg, then I can do it from the left leg because that is how I'm taught to do it. But Lord help you if you get me to do it from the right side or vice versa. Like if we're learning it from the right side, I won't be able to do it well from the left side, which I think for a white belt is okay. But like is going to come to haunt me come blue belt, I think.
No, but you don't like drill on your own on the side, right? That much.
I don't have a ton of time
to do like drilling sessions.
Do drilling sessions.
And I think that's fine because I was doing so much drilling and I was mostly drilling one side and I got such a muscle imbalance. I was like, okay, I got to start drilling both sides now because only one of my knees is hurting. And then I started drilling both sides and now I'm equally bad at the jiu-jitsu. Like people say, they're like, it's better to be good at one side than bad at two sides. Now I'm bad at two sides, but I have no knee pain. So
right. And then you just have to decide, would you rather be in pain or would you rather be
good at jiu-jitsu? I don't know. I think most people will pick pain and good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I don't know.
You haven't had any like major injuries or anything yet, right?
I have a labrum tear actually to my right shoulder that I'm working through right now. But
from jiu-jitsu or bouldering or
who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, it could also just be like, hi, welcome to your 30s. You've torn your labrum. I could have done it throwing a tennis ball for my dog, honestly. Like, it's just you tear it in this motion, which looks an awful lot
like an Americana.
Like an Americana that I did not tap to. But
and we definitely have a purple about our gym who hits Americanas.
I mean, everybody hits Americanas on me. It's fun.
She's leaving her arm out there.
I leave it out for everybody to take. It's like how I always give up the underhook.
Really?
I'm working on it.
With these elbows to the knees?
I actually do it when I'm passing.
Oh.
Yeah, that's when I give it up.
I could see that actually.
Yeah, because I don't keep it tight enough.
Yeah, I have a wide elbow situation, but also sometimes I'm like, I mean, I don't want to pull the I'm a girl card, but like sometimes I definitely feel like I'm keeping everything in and people just take my limb anyway because they can. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, we're just not getting that back because you're too strong and at no angle am I keeping this arm. Because like people will be like, keep your elbow in. And I'm like, it's damn near touching my belly button. I don't think I can keep my elbow in any more than that. And if they're still getting it, I like can't fix this. There is no more in than the middle than my center of my body line. So.
No. I mean, you could go over further, I guess, but that's definitely not in anymore.
Yeah. I've definitely had a couple situations like that. I'm like, keep it in. I'm like, fucking where, dude?
Tuck it up inside your armpit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember like one time doing one of those wrestling classes with one of the guys who wrestle, and he was like, yeah, and then you just, with all your strength, you just push this way, like now. And I'm like, I am. As I'm like, my face is like purple, my vein is popping out. I'm doing it as hard as I can, and he was not budging at all.
That's the most embarrassing. That's what the information that jiu-jitsu gives you is how small and weak you are.
Yeah.
People just flip you.
No.
Or do stuff.
But I think it is really important to understand like exactly how important it is to get away from somebody before they can touch you.
Yeah. But I also have like girlfriends who like will be out at a bar or something, and like you have those girlfriends that are scrappy verbally. Like they can't do jiu-jitsu, they can't do striking, they can't do anything, but they have they have a mouth on them. And I'm like, hey, shut up. And they'll be like, no, someone needs to tell them. I'm like, that's not us today, girlfriend. I'm like, that guy's drunk, you're drunk. Like, we don't need to have this conversation in this
We
bar.
don't need to see if he hits women.
Yeah, we don't need to see if he hits women or is armed or has a fully formed frontal lobe. Like, we don't need any of those things. But I feel like coming from the knowledge of like what can hurt you, you're less likely to have that personality than if you were just out there like that's like why I feel like that's like a different kind of confidence than the confidence that you have from jiu-jitsu, being like, oh, okay.
I mean, I think that's more arrogance and like false confidence than it is actual confidence. Like,
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's
true.
It's writing a check.
Arrogance feels like the correct word. Yeah. Arrogance actually, we don't separate the word arrogance and confident enough in just like real life. Because same thing, like when you walk onto a mat, you cannot, a lot of the time you can't, especially if there's like no footage of them on like flow or anything else, like you don't really have any idea anything about that opponent sometimes. You can't even judge by the way they look. There are girls that are like, looked scary and I beat them and I was like, okay, I guess they weren't that scary. I guess I'm scary.
Right. And then there's some new white belts at our gym that like I walk up to and I'm like, oh, they're so little and cute. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. While you're down there.
No.
Yeah. So it's hard to like judge things. So that there's like that kind of confidence. But you do walk on the mat like I'm prepared. I like know what I'm doing. I understand. I have like these understandings and like whatever. So there's an amount of confidence. But yes, arrogance is totally a word that I don't think we use enough in like in just every day.
They're just writing a check that their mouth can't cash, which now I think is an outdated metaphor. I wonder how many people listening to your podcast even understand
Hopefully,
that you can over cash a check.
All 8 of my regular listeners are millennials and are like, yeah, I know that term.
Have you ever bounced a check before?
Oh man, there's a whole generation of kids out here that have never written a check. That's crazy. In the world of Zelle, they've like never written a check.
No.
I think I still have a book of checks somewhere here for my bank account.
Oh, I absolutely have a checkbook. It's hidden, but I still have one.
Yeah, I think we had a few and then we shredded a bunch because we're like, you can always get printed temp checks if we like really needed one. We have one book. That's the millennial. Did you know that there's Gen Zers out there who don't have a checkbook? Because it's so outdated.
I mean, there's Gen Zers out there that... Is Gen Z the one that... Have they been alive for 9/11?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, there's people out there...
No, but there's I think 20... I think it's like if you're under 26 or something.
I mean, I work with nurses who have never seen the Twin Towers up.
Yeah. Well, I also think if you were like 3 or 4 when it happened, then I think you're still technically Gen Z. Because if it's 2024, 9/11 would have happened, you have to be like...
2001.
Yeah, you have to be like 23 or under, 22. And I think Gen Z goes all the way up to like 26, maybe.
It's just wild.
Yeah. I think you're a millennial if you are over 28.
Yeah. I remember explaining at work one day that once upon a time you used to be able to walk through security with your shoes on.
Yeah, you still can if you have TSA pre-check.
Okay, well, not all of us are elite like you. Some of us are plebes, like me.
There was no security. They used to just check.
Yeah, you could just walk up to the gate.
Yeah, all the way to the gate.
Lucas is saying that you could walk all the way to the gate.
Yeah.
Back in the day. I don't know.
That's why, like Home Alone, where she goes up to the gate and she's like, "You gotta let me on the plane. You gotta let me on the plane."
Love Actually. Oh, he runs through security, but that was after 9/11 because they had that whole beginning montage where they talk about 9/11.
Right. No, but like Home Alone, where they're running around the gate and doing gate nonsense. It's
Friends. Oh, Friends. Yeah, there's
waiting with the flowers.
When Ross is waiting with the flowers at the gate. Wow, what a different.
I've never watched Friends. I mean, I haven't watched all of it.
A lot of people.
I'm not a Friends girl.
Yeah, people don't like Friends.
No. I mean, it was just actually a little bit before my time. So it was
technically before the first time I watched Friends was 8 years ago, and there were some big moments in Friends. Like I watched the whole series, and I'd never heard. It was also slightly before my time, so I didn't actually know what happens to everybody. I cried for full episodes because I was like, Lucas, it's like published in like Cosmo like 15 years before, and like I was crying like it was the very first time that it had ever happened. So
I mean, that's why it's good TV, and that's why it's still around and people still talk about it.
I feel like I also watch it because I like the nostalgia of it. Because even though when they were young adults in New York City, I was a child. So it was still like slightly before my time. But there's something about watching Friends where it looks like the world looked like when you were growing up that feels familiar, that feels comforting. It feels like the shows that you used to watch, even like the kid shows or, I don't even, like, I'm trying to think. I'm like, it's just like the way people dressed or like certain things people do. You're like, oh, okay, this is familiar looking.
Yeah, I feel like even the cinematography sometimes of shows like that can be really nostalgic of like what you grew up with your parents watching when you were a kid, and like the shows that you would sneak up and like watch with your babysitter can give you that like nostalgic
And
feel.
then the orchestra in movies, like they don't really do the same score that they used to, but like if you watch something like Gladiator and they have like the big orchestra, like it was just suggesting Gladiator, and I just listened to like the podcast that Joe Rogan had Russell Crowe on, and so I was thinking Gladiator, but I feel like there is, and it reminds me of going to Universal Studios Hollywood when I was a child, because they had all that big cinema score and you're like, this is the movies. And then it hasn't really been that for like 15 plus years. Because that's like where, like, I feel like that style really changed.
That is the most California native thing I think you could ever say, aside from you're sick of the traffic on the 405.
Yeah, that's the second thing.
And
Or
calling it the 405.
the 405 or the 5.
Oh yeah, the 5.
Yeah, I think I now call things, like, what do we say things? Like I-4, people say the interstate here. The 5, the 405. I think it's weird that people say, like, people say I-75. They don't say the 75.
Well, because we don't say I'm driving on freeway. We say I'm driving on the freeway. So
I don't
it
know why
makes sense
people
that
think
you
it's
call
so
it-
wild.
I don't know, but I'm holding on to calling it the 285, the 400.
Yeah.
Like, you can pry that out of my cold dead hands.
Also, I-285 is a circle, so, like, also, I feel like that's...
I mean, the Bay Area has that too. So like up in the
She's
Bay
like, "That's
Area,
not that weird."
there's a couple like massive freeway circles that are in the San Francisco area. I want to say the 280, like coincidentally enough, is a
The
massive
280.
circle. I think it's the 280. It has been so long since I've like been driving around there without a GPS that like I don't. But I want to say the 280 is a
With
giant
a Garmin,
circle.
your GPS.
Oh, the Garmin. Yes. I remember asking for that like my first Christmas in college. Like I needed a Garmin to navigate around.
My friend had a Garmin, and I thought she was so bougie. This is about the time I met Lucas. This is how long ago this is. But I had a friend who had, no, I take it back. She had a TomTom.
Oh, yes, TomTom.
She had a TomTom, and I remember thinking, I'm like, why? You can just print out the directions on MapQuest for free. Like, why would I pay for a TomTom or a Garmin? And she's like, well, have you ever like missed a turn and like whatever and needed to read direct? And I was like,
Because you can end up crying under an overpass in San Francisco next to a homeless man. That's why you get a TomTom.
yeah, she was from the middle of nowhere, Texas. So I guess
Calling my dad from a payphone, Dad.
this went from hypothetical to life trauma.
Trauma dumping with Tiana.
Trauma dumping with Tiana. This is a podcast, not a therapy session, or both. I feel like I'd be a great therapist. Look at how much I got out of her already. Isn't that what they do?
Yeah.
I've never been to a therapist ever.
I've been. What's kind of weird is like the beginning.
I think it's like a tattoo, though. I think more people have been to a therapist. More people have a tattoo than not.
Yeah. No, it's always the beginning, because like she'll start off like, so how has your week been? And then you have to decide exactly what to say next. And like my goal is always to make her laugh, and I never succeed. Ever.
I have a friend who also is really funny, and she would do her jokes, and this woman also would not laugh. And then she was like, I stopped going to that therapist.
Yeah.
I don't think therapists are supposed to laugh. I don't know.
See, that's why I couldn't
Isn't
be a
it weird
therapist.
when you're paying for to talk to somebody?
Right. I mean,
Then they don't really give advice. They just listen, right?
no. So I'll tell her something about what's going on in like an interaction that I have with a coworker that bothered me, or like I got into it because like we see children die, and that can be distressing, to say the least. So you'll tell her about the thing it is that bothered you for the week. And sometimes it's big, like, oh my God, I had this patient and blah, blah, blah. And other times it's like, so my mom called me and I got really upset and I don't know why. And she'll piece through it with you. You'll kind of pick out what it was about the situation that upset you. And then normally for me, she'll give me homework. And like, It'll be, okay, now when this thing happens in your life, I want you to ask yourself these questions. So like for me, there's like 2 questions that I ask when I get ready to like try to prove myself doing something that makes no sense. And she's like, ask yourself these questions. And if you can answer these questions correctly, then you can do the thing. And if not, then you should think twice about doing the thing. And that helps me kind of think about like, okay, well, why am I really doing this thing?
Like, what's your motivation? Oh my God, it's like
what,
acting. What's
yeah,
my
like
motivation?
What is my actual motivation for doing this? Is it because I want to, or am I doing this because I want to prove myself, blah, blah, blah. So she gives you homework. So it just depends on your, and like everybody's therapist is a little bit different, and everybody's therapist, actually, there's like a bunch of different approaches that they can have. So
which one do you prefer if you had to, from your experience?
I've only ever been to her for myself, and I like her approach. I like having to ask myself questions about why I'm doing things and like why I'm responding to people a certain way, or like why, certain coworker interactions can be really distressing to me. But I don't really have too much experience with like other types of approaches, just because I don't really have patience for it.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
I'm only wondering, I have a bunch of friends who like would like date a therapist, and they were like the worst red flaggy people. So that's like, I don't know, has always.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's like so it's like nurses, right? Like some of the most unhealthy people I know are nurses, and like we should know better, but we do it anyway. I think therapists are the same way. Like I think there's plenty of people that know better, but don't.
This is like, it feels really accurate.
Yeah. So yeah, like the things I know other nurses to do, I'm like,
as like jujitsu people, they think they should, just kidding. Yeah. Well, we've hit our time. I try to find something better to end on, but we've hit our time. And Tiana, where can they find you? Do you have a private Instagram? You don't really want to be found.
No, it's public. It's Wine and Sea Life, because I'm into wine.
Yeah, there's underscores in there though.
Yeah,
right?
Wine_C_life.
Yeah, and she's drinking wine right now, so how very on brand of her.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on, and guys, tune in next week.